now.
Beautiful. Hello, lovely grids. Wendy and I are here to review your first assignment dealing with this egg beater. And just as a review, there was, 5 basically principles I wanted you to be looking at: the concept of symmetry, asymmetry, something with a dramatic scale shift, static versus dynamic, and the idea of repetition. And hopefully, at least 4 of those for each one, just in the form of quick notations. And so for me, I really appreciate your marks. I appreciate the graphic quality of this. To me, that very first image is just a wonderful piece of information design in a way where you've abstracted each component. And now I'm seeing a little clearer that these are 4 separate drawings on each page. So we'll start with the first one of the series, which I'm guessing is symmetry versus asymmetry. Again, I think it's the next one. This is her just taking down the pieces. Probably symmetry. Yes. So this is so much clearer now. Excellent.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, beautiful. For me, in terms of symmetry, I'm very smitten with the top left because you're showing symmetry without it being identical, and there's a wonderful variable there. It's just lovely.
This one should be asymmetry, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Beautiful. I love how graphic you could actually pin them down to, and I'm mostly attracted to the top left, I would say, again, just because it's more abstract and you can't really tell. I think from the other ones you can sort of still tell some of the parts, but I enjoy the top left the most in here.
I'm smitten with the bottom right because of the gray. Yeah, suddenly the wash of the ink for the technique. Yeah, but really nice.
This one's repetition.
Yeah.
I like these a lot. These are my favorite.
Pretty sure this is dramatic scale shift. Not entirely sure. So can you just click on media information again and see if there's anything, any clue? No. So Anne, just give us, so we're not playing a guessing game. Please just include that on here. So the next one.
No, I feel like this one might be scale.
Again, right? If you could, yeah, I feel the same way. Beautiful. Upper left again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, the idea of this one was combining 3 or more of these elements and taking advantage of gray. For this, I would encourage you to be very mindful of the edges. You have filled in all of the edges almost like a carpet. And because we're ultimately looking towards the idea of, using this as a guide to using type and image, think about how this has now sealed off everything. And there's a lot of competition in the frame. Individually, I think these are beautiful marks, and particularly the the left-hand side for me. Again.
Yeah, I think you can definitely use like a lot of some negative space to let the piece breathe a little bit, and so we can appreciate the rest of the components and it doesn't turn into a carpet like Susie said.
Yeah, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but also, and I think I would encourage you on that one, and you don't have to blow it up, but I would encourage you on that one to also take advantage of gray, because that was the gift I gave you all on the last one, was how can I use gray? So, fading something back, even within some of your black images, would also give it a little bit more depth. Yeah. Okay, So that's Anne, and now we will move on to Katie. So again, we're looking through everything that you've done this week, but this video is focused on your egg beater process. I'm thrilled to see how many of you have actual egg beaters.
Mhm.
So this is nice, just preliminary sketches to see this, marker sketches. Getting to become familiar with this object, especially if it's something new to you, can be very helpful because you're going to start to see these parts in a new way. Or an unexpected way. Like I would never know this is from an egg beater. So just, breaking down these components, thinking about form and shape and line and how we can use those in future compositions. You'll be working with the egg beater for a while. Your images are a little shadowy and a little bit miscolored. It's most important in your finals that they're really crisp and white. I'm not as concerned in process images, but just keep that in mind. And here we have this, see, this is very helpful, just symmetry thumbnails, yeah. Nice. For these, I think you've done a nice job of kind of interpreting asymmetry, whether it's the positioning of the elements, it's the two different elements, it's the line quality. So just as a suite, I think that they feel very calligraphic and they do start to appear to me as letter forms. I'd love to see you using other forms of your egg beater in this study, as opposed to just these sort of beater heads.
Yeah, I love this one right here. Very calligraphic, like Susie said.
And here we have dramatic scale shift. Well, I think these feel less resolved. And I don't know if it's because they simply feel zoomed in on one area. And, it's hard. This one just feels, I'm not really sure what it is. It's not like I need to know what I'm looking at. Remember, this is abstracted. And also you might consider some of these really end on that edge. And I think you're very aware of your edge, as opposed to maybe even doing these separately and even cutting them out after you crop them to the size that you're doing, so that, like for example, 1 and 2, I'm very conscious of the square of the, can you just run, I'm running my cursor here, but it's not helping. No.
Nope.
No, right there. But can you run your cursor on images 1 and 2?
1 and 2.
Yeah, around the edge where it hits the pencil line of the frame. The drawing itself on the bottom.
This?
Yeah, that edge on either one of them, that edge of pencil, it just ends awkwardly on that line. So I think my advice for you, Katie, is, Lauren, sorry, is to do more of these where they're off the page.
No, it is Katie. It is Katie.
Oh, okay.
Lauren was just commenting. Yeah.
I thought it was Katie. So yeah, I would encourage you. And even if I look at, let's just say the top right, the line weight is the same. So even thinking about dramatic scale change in your mark, so that, we're feeling something really drastic.
Static versus dynamic. I guess for this one, I just really feel movement from this thumbnail right here, and the rest just sort of feel static to me. Like, were they supposed to be static and dynamic within one thumbnail, or is it like, because I think this one right here is just like movement to me.
Yeah, no, it just, again, I was just hoping for exploration and maybe clarifying. And I think what she's done here is probably static, dynamic, static, dynamic, I think. Again, it's pretty loosey-goosey, but I would agree, just in the suite. And if that is what you're doing, I think what's lovely is the shift, even from 1 and
Yes.
2, that little switch that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm realizing that like this one is sort of the static version of this one. Makes sense now.
Well, again, I'm
I think
guessing.
so.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing. Again, just if you all could just be, just pencil in what it is you're doing and your process, even under the media information. But again, we'll keep moving.
Yeah.
Repetition. This also feels, I would say, less resolved, and I guess, yeah, yeah, I think I would encourage you to do more of these, and then come back to this page. There's elements of repetition, but it feels a little rushed. And this, I guess I also don't fully understand. And what I was hoping for is that you would have 3 or more elements combined, and also be using gray in your composition, and don't be afraid to turn the page the other orientation vertically. So right now, to me, they feel very separate. They feel like 3 separate marks that were combined, and was hoping to have more of an integration of marks. And also, I just want to say, as I said, this was actually a pretty quick assignment, and I know that I threw it at you kind of late in the game, and perhaps it wasn't made as clear, but what I'd love to see is just more gray.
And this is just her research notes.
Sweet. And
Should
as you'll
we
all
go to
quickly
these?
find out, you will still be using the egg beater moving forward. So we will go to the egg beater sketches. We'll go straight to that. And let's see how this opens up. Okay, so photos are very dark. And this is, I'm guessing, just taking the egg beater apart. Symmetry. Asymmetry. Yep. Dramatic scale shift. Static and dynamic. Okay, good. Repetition. I think everyone loves repetition. I think some of the best drawings are when people do these wonderful patterns.
Yeah.
So
I don't think her photos are that dark. It might be the paper that she's using more so than the photo, because the ink looks fine. It's just the paper looks sort of yellowish. So maybe if you try to use a whiter paper, or
well,
I don't know,
you
it
can
might be
also,
the lighting as well, but
yeah, I would
yeah.
say the lighting, and also just make it a black and white image when you submit it, so that it's really crisp.
Yeah.
Would be great. But yeah, again, for these, it's minor. Moving forward, much of our work will be done digitally, so the point is fine. For me, I'm really smitten with your repetition. Sorry. Particularly upper left, bottom right, because it's very unexpected. I don't know where that came from. And Wendy said this at an earlier conversation with someone else, that what a beautiful textile pattern you could be making with these.
Yeah, definitely. I like, we're seeing all of these in black and white, but I feel like all of these in color would be wonderful once we start getting into that. Yeah.
And then static and dynamic.
Where's that one?
Right above this one. I was
Oh.
trying to keep it in order, just to make it easy. Static and dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be useful for everyone to start sort of labeling what we're looking at, because it's sort of like a lot of process work and we can't really guess what's going on in your mind. And I'm sure these make sense, but just a little note about, oh, maybe this is static, this is dynamic would be
Yeah, and when
helpful.
you submit these in the other format where it's not in a PDF, you'll see, Rennie
Yeah.
and everyone, that you can provide commentary with each piece. And so let's look at the scale shift. Yeah, I think for me, the upper left and the upper right both have a wonderful sense of a scale shift, which then becomes, you know, this perspective that you're doing.
Yeah. Upper left for me again.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yep, good. Yeah. Again, some of these we don't have a lot to say. So if we don't say anything, you're great.
Okay. Um,
We need to see her final.
oh,
Maybe pause recording.
yeah. Okay. Now I
Okay,
can.
so I see. Here's where we have the, you've included the notes. So this is what we were looking for, Rennie, and you've already done it, using the components, using the 3 elements, etc. So I think what I love about this is that you are creating more of a sense of depth. And with all of this, we're not making a poster, we're not making a piece of graphic design, but yet we are. And so when I look at this, I'm thinking about the white space, or in this case, the gray space. I'm thinking about hierarchy of your images. And, you know, again, thinking about asymmetry in typography, repetition in typography. And so this starts to do something wonderful. The edge of the gray on the white is the only thing that I find a little like, ouch. It doesn't share the same elegance of your imagery. So I'd be curious to see how Wendy feels about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just feel the gray just feels a little bit like you sort of slapped it in there. Because the edges are so harsh and then you have like really organic shapes. So I don't know, maybe playing around a little bit more with the gray to see what else you can do besides it looking just like the background would be interesting. Or you could also, if you want the hard edge, you could like completely shift your imagery and make it like more abstract and less organic. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I think bottom line is, I think it was a great synthesis of your drawings. And
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy that that's all derived from an egg beater.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, thanks for all the details in the caption.
Yeah, this is very useful.
Yes.
Okay. Lauren?
Lauren Rose. Okay, Lauren. What do we have here? I'm obsessed with this. I like that. First, it was crazy. Well, again, Lauren and everyone, apologies for seemingly springing this on you kind of late in the game. But if you are obsessed, good. Guess what? You're going to keep working on it. So this is nice. Really nice rendering.
This is just process. More process. Symmetry.
Nice. Yeah. So I think this would help us if we, I mean, all of these images are just on an angle. and not seeing the borders of your canvas, if you will. They feel like they're actually very centered, which makes them makes them very symmetrical in their composition. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're all like dead on in that 4x4 place. So in addition to thinking about kind of having things on an angle, think about the asymmetrical composition. Reference egg beaters. This is a good one coming up. Nice. Dramatic scale shift. Okay, different interpretation. And again, this is something that I was hoping might come through, is what happens when you change the scale of the parts. So I would say the same thing with this, is think about your composition always, and also use another tool. Your lines are all very, very delicate throughout, and I'd love to see you doing something very dramatically with your line weight also.
Yeah, I was just about to comment on that.
Yeah, I'd love to see more. And I do appreciate what your or actually it was Rennie that said it, that even those parts within a part have repetition. But I would love to, again, think about your composition in the page. And that's why I had you all specifically look at that chapter with the Timothy Samara book about, like, how do you show this kind of principle. And the challenge for you all is that you're doing it with egg beaters as opposed to circles or squares. But I would push the idea of all of these. Static, again, this one I can't decipher because they're all similar line weight. They're all positioned in the same place, and I don't feel dynamic other than you turn things a little bit. So
Yeah.
please, I would, you know, if you don't quite get this concept, go back and look at in the Samara book, and I'll address it again, but really thinking about static versus dynamic. It's more
Yeah.
than shifting the object.
I think even here, the one that makes the most sense is this one right here, and it has to do with the line weight. Because here, even though she's using the same tool to draw, she made these like thicker than this one, so you can tell that it's actually moving. So if you use like a different tool, you could even emphasize that even more. Same thing with this one right here.
Agreed, agreed, agreed. But right now they're very, again, your
Yeah.
positioning of them is very much static.
Did she
And
put
then
the
a
final
final combining. I think it's coming right after the egg beater. Nope.
No, I don't think that it was there. That's the last image.
Okay. Make a note of that. I know. Okay. So advice to you, Madir, is playing around with line quality, line weight, tools, materials, really exploring that, I think would be terrific. And then again, just kind of revisit the idea of static and dynamic.
Okay.
Great.
We're done with this group, right?
I don't know.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we went through Rennie, Lauren.
Okay. Um, can you just pause it?
Yes. Unpaused.
Beautiful. All right, grids. So again, I appreciate all of your work on the egg beater. And overall, I can't stress enough that we just need to see a lot of process and also clarity in what it is you're doing, so that that's also clear. The one area I think that most people kind of struggled over or were hesitant was the static and dynamic. And so again, just thinking about a static composition versus a dynamic. And when I release the sketches for the egg beater form book that you're about to do, I'll show you good examples of that. And a lot of times, again, just in typography or design, when something is just centered on a page and it's, you know, all very much the same, it's just not doing much, it's static. And then when it shifts off the page or there's something that activates it, it becomes far more dynamic. So we'll review that, but again, process, process, process. Thank you.